afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV on a Libations Friday. Loosey-goosey, laid back, conversational, how goes it edition of the Jeff Cameron Show. On Twitter, it's at J Cameron Show. If you're driving about town listening on 93.3 FM, thanks for doing that. You're supporting Tallahassee's only locally owned and operated radio station. That's a good thing. It's good to support local. I won't give a free shout out here, no free plugs, but I had a wonderful dinner with my family last night at a local restaurant. They know who they are. And they treated us like kings. Golly, they were so nice, and the food was delicious. Thanks, everybody over there. We appreciate you. And if you want to advertise, well, please reach out. That said, it's nice when you're out somewhere local and they do it right, no matter where it is, no matter who it is. You're like, all right, there you go. Way to go, community. Way to go, restaurant. Way to go, store. Whatever it might be, right? So good times. Appreciate that. Thanks for all the birthday wishes, everybody. I saw several this morning in my inbox from emails and all that. It was nice yesterday. It was a lovely day. You know, these days, you're 55. You're not racing to your next birthday with your arms ready to reach out and celebrate the occasion. You're happy to be alive. You're happy that, for me, I'm very fortunate. I got a job I love, dear friends all around me that I love, family that I love. Both my parents are alive. I'm very, very fortunate. It's not lost on me. And I take the time to contemplate those things on my birthday these days. That's a very different sort of existence than the birthdays used to be. The birthdays used to be this, well, how kinds of crazy are we going to get tonight? What are we going to do? How blurry-eyed am I going to be? And now it's the opposite. Now it's kind of like, I'll have a glass of wine and a nice meal and think about how fortunate I am. And that includes all the well wishes that I got from people like you, listeners out there who were either in the chat or in the email or on Twitter. And that's really cool. That's cool. So thanks to everybody. It was a great day. Today is going to be a great day as well. Just to let you know, we're pre-recorded today. Sort of a post-birthday, gonna enjoy the rest of my day. Let's knock this out, get some fresh content out there. Ain't that much changing, folks, but something did change yesterday, and I will tell you that. We were waiting on it. We were hoping soon we'd see it. I'll tell you, behind the scenes, I was beginning to inquire with various sources about when the hell are we going to sign somebody in baseball? That seemed to have been the concern, the overriding concern many of you had as well. Like, hey, man, that portal's open. We're allowed to talk, sign some people, bring some folks in. Let's see what happens here. So we got one yesterday officially, and you can go read Tom Lang's article on this that he wrote about 24 hours ago, which is Florida State Baseball lands Big East Pitcher of the Year, Caden Suchi, or Sushi. Do we find out, Tom? Is it Suchi or Sushi?
Not yet, but when he's starting for us on Friday night in February, we will most certainly know by that point.
Well, he's enrolling at Florida State, so that is going to happen. He announced his decision yesterday afternoon on his Twitter account, wrote Go Noles, which is a beautiful thing. And by the way, we had mentioned this young man. We knew he was on campus. We had talked about that some yesterday. This was a guy they really wanted to get and needed to get. You need a front of the rotation guy. This is going to be, in all likelihood, your front of the rotation guy. If you're wondering who he is, he's the Big East Pitcher of the Year, as I said, 6'2", 192 pounds, rising junior, lefty, 2.72 ERA, 89 and a third innings in 2026, struck out 105 batters in the process, walked just 23, which was the number that jumped out at me. He is a guy that was rated in the top 10 of all prospects in the portal. He is the third best pitching prospect in the portal. This is a kid who low 90s. If you go look at his numbers, low 90s for the fastball. From the left side, that's ample. And then he can really spin it. He's got a slider and a curveball that is very effective. So this figures to be the guy that they wanted to bring in as an ace. And they got him. And so that's good news. I think you're going to get, and maybe at the time that you're listening to this, quite frankly, it's already happened. I think you're going to hear a series of acquisitions announced. As the kids say, it's going to pop. We're going to learn today that so-and-so has agreed to go to Florida State. So-and-so has agreed to Florida State. We're gonna hear that. I think you're gonna hear about a catcher. I think you're gonna hear about another pitcher. I think there's a chance you get another infielder. This is good. This is good. They need to make hay, though. They've had people on campus. They're continuing to try to get people on campus. There are names out there that you get excited about when you read it. So we'll see if Florida State can get the job done. But they did yesterday. They got their ace. Good news. Good news.
Yeah, keep it up. There's a lot of spots in the lineup, a lot of spots in the field to fill. And right now, everybody's chasing Luke Laux in how to construct a team and make people feel good about it. Outside of, I'm sure, like Penske would be number one, but as much as successful as that program is, that doesn't drive discussion the way that even a fledgling program like Florida State basketball has been the last little while now, since 2021. Like, people get fired up when they know that there's help on the way. That's its own source of hope. And perhaps for football's sake, copium, right? You look at these other places, and baseball is, you're looking to see the evidence from baseball that you can have higher hopes this upcoming season than you did last year, which was you're leaning on the pitching of Miles Bailey. Miles Bailey was our mantra when football was falling to pieces, and then Miles got hurt. Let's see. Hopefully there's a little bit more redundancy this upcoming year. However, things on paper don't always play out. This is the thing to be cautious. They don't always play out. On paper, it looked like they did a great job in the portal last year, and there was going to be power galore in this Florida State baseball lineup. Hopefully this season, with whoever they bring in over the next couple of weeks, that whatever power numbers you see, perhaps a certain catcher has an ops over 1,300 at the level he's playing, that it translates, that they did a good job of circling people who will translate and provide what we need next year on the diamond. We'll see.
Yeah, beyond the names of the players, and you're referring to a junior college catcher who was on the junior college team that won the national championship, and his power numbers are exceptional. He's said to be a good defensive catcher. He's a big target, big kid. There are a couple other guys out there. Keep an eye on the former Tennessee shortstop. They were looking to try to get him on campus. I don't know if they were successful. He had 292 last year with 9 home runs and 40-plus RBIs, but he was a kid that could really pick it as well. That's important. You're replacing Frazier, which, look, they whiffed on Frazier. Now, I still think Frazier has all the potential in the world. It's kind of a lot behind the scenes with him this past year. It's fascinating to watch roster construction. I do like diving into this because while I said yesterday on the program that, look, do I empathize with the plight of people trying to put this together, given timelines of certain events and things that happen along the way, such as you're still playing games, meaningful postseason games at the time that the portal opens up, or such as, hey, right around the corner is the draft and all that? Yeah, I do, but that's the job and that's what the money's for, so I don't spend a lot of time on it. You got to figure it out. You got to figure out a way to do better. And I think Link was looking in the mirror at the end of this last year, figuring out a way to do better. And I wonder what that process is. I'm told it's changed. It's changed in how they're going about evaluating players. I don't know what those changes are. Some of them did have to do with analytics. I imagine some of them also had to do with clubhouse and whether or not a guy is a good fit. I mean, I really think that they had a series of issues on this last year's team. And I'm not talking about anything nefarious or anything like that. I'm just saying that not everybody was a perfect fit. Let's just put it that way. You had sort of a convoluted, mismatched roster last year. And as evidence to my point about what were they trying to be? Could they run like the wind blows? No. Were they great defensively? No. Could they hit? Not really. All right. Well, let's figure out a modus operandi here and go all in. Figure out what we are.
And yet they were 10th national seed, and perhaps if
they could pitch
a 2-out 2-strike bomb over the wall on the ACC tournament doesn't occur, perhaps you're a top 8 national seed, because you might just do enough there to be a top 8 with Miles Bailey getting hurt halfway-ish through the season.
Yeah, you got a good coach. You have a good coach, and they could pitch. And I think that Link will always have them competitive because he is a good coach.
That's it, yeah. And that's the important thing, is that even when it's not ideal, and there were some things that they needed to work on, and that was apparent to anybody. Like, I was hopeful for most of the season, because these things evolve over time. People emerge out of nowhere and people tank out of nowhere. That's the Lodis example and the Miles Bailey example from 2 years ago. And this past year, I mean, if I told you that Cal Fisher was going to hit 3 or 4 home runs in the regional, you'd be like, well, we're moving on. But it didn't happen that way because other things fell apart. So these things develop and there's ebbs and flows. But the consistent part is Link has had a whole bunch of different types of teams in his brief tenure here at Florida State. And outside of that transitional year, the first one on campus, it's been good. Group's been good. So tighten it up, refine it, and let's see if we can look like a top 8 national seed that can do some damage and doesn't need help in order to get where it needs to go. Hopefully it's a team that once they take the field, by the time we get into March ACC play next year, you say, that's got the look of what it's supposed to be.
Well, that's the hard part, too, because, by the way, the Georgia Tech team was beautifully put together, and they were loaded, and then they promptly lost in the sub-regional, as I still call it, not even the supers. They didn't even get out of their own sub, and they were out the gates 2-0, and they still couldn't get out of it. Baseball can still be baseball, but it needs to look a certain way. You know, Florida couldn't beat Troy. They just couldn't do it. Couldn't get past Troy, Tom. Couldn't stop giving up runs to Troy. 26 of them in 2 games. I don't know how a vaunted pitching staff filled with guys are going to be pitching in the majors, and they will. I don't know how they couldn't get out of their own regional at home and how Troy beat them like a drum and scored 26 runs over 2 games and coming out of the loser's bracket to win. I don't know how it happened. It did. Baseball is baseball. But it does need to look a certain way, and you have to have – and I think that's what I'm talking about with Link and roster construction. I think that, man, it's fun to kind of report on, watch, talk about, speculate about what roster construction looks like in this day and age. It's ever changing. You're trying to figure it out. I admit it's not easy. I allow for certain missteps to exist, but I think you have to learn from them, and I think you have to show real progress, because if we're being honest, and this is a criticism, year over year, the last couple of years, the quality of players have begun to diminish here. That should not be the case. You should be getting better, not worse.
Yeah, the important thing also is you're saying that their number to hit the market with this year, their budget is higher, which is good. I want to clean up something from yesterday after having a discussion with you and others that the Miles Bailey money is for Miles only. So, which is interesting because that means if Miles returned, their total baseball budget would be really high. Like that's relative to the competition. That would
be in the neighborhood of $3 million, and I'm hearing that it is in the neighborhood of $3 million.
Yeah. So
listen, that's more than Miami. That's in the neighborhood of Florida.
Exactly right. Now, are you saying that's inclusive of the Bailey figure, or
no? I'm saying that's what they have to spend. Now, listen, I may get some pushback on that. It's not an exact number. I want people to understand that, but it's near 3. It's in the $3 million range.
But if you've got something in the ballpark of 3, and I'll even give you plus or minus $500K, right? Whatever. And then there's also this Miles Bailey provision. Let's just say it's 2.5, and Bailey cost you, I don't know, the slot's 1-3 with some variety. Like you're talking into the 3s for the roster. Okay. Now we're cooking a little bit here because look, it's more important than just money, but money's the biggest piece of the pie. Who are we kidding here? Money is the biggest piece of the pie to go get the important players that you need to put you over the top, those top line stars that you're going to rely upon in regionals and supers and so forth.
Yeah, I think this interesting mix of baseball, if you look, I understand that amongst the starters out in Omaha, you're going to see a pretty overwhelming percentage of them be transfer portal players. I also know that if you look at roster makeup, that's not always true. Like Ole Miss and others have, some homegrown, a lot of homegrown arms. Like Alabama, for example, where unfortunately their pitching coach, who's very, very good, is also a Nole. And At one time, I do know that there were Florida State people who wanted him here, but he's got a good gig at Alabama, and he's doing very well. Nothing against Micah Posey. That's not a shot at Micah. But I think the guy's name's Jason Jackson over there at Alabama. Point would be this. They do a good job of grooming kids and getting kids in from high school and developing those arms into first and second round picks. And you can still do that. So you're trying, and you save a lot of money if you do a good job of evaluating players in high school and what their potential is. What's he going to throw 2 years from now? How hard is he going to throw? What is his body going to look like? What can he become? I think you can do that better with pitching than you can certain other positions right now. But you do need to get a fair share of guys in order to save money. Out of the high school ranks. So grab a couple of Stutz type players. And by the way, they did. They got Stutzer, who I think is going to be an absolute stud. I believe Stutzer will end up being, before he leaves here, a first round type player. I think he's going to get that kind of love. That's a huge win for Florida State because they got him out of the high school ranks. So that'll be seen as a kid who develops within your program and becomes a star. You need some of those. Miles, you got Miles. You brought in Miles. He became a star. That you got him as a freshman. You developed Miles. Obviously, these guys have to have immense ability to, they were really good players when they got here. I got it. But still, the perception's real there. And then you sprinkle in all these other portal guys. But those portal guys are expensive. I do like the philosophy of trying to go out now and get, 2-year guys. Guys that have had a freshman year that have shown real potential, and you're trying to bring them in for 2 years. I like that. I think that's smart. So you're not constantly scrambling trying to bring in 18 to 24 guys out of the portal every year. That's tough. So I guess what I say when I vet these rosters and I vet the philosophy and what they're trying to do, I like seeing signs that they're adjusting and learning from mistakes. So we'll see if we get that. I also like knowing that budget has increased. I do think Link and others will have to take advantage currently of a situation where there are a lot of angry donors who just don't want to give their money to football. And this is the time to make hay because it's not going to be that way forever.
Well, and that's the reality of where we are on all fronts. I mean, the lead for today's show is once again baseball player acquisition. 10 years ago, that would be a joke. That would be a joke. You'd be like, hey, is he doing like some sort of gag segment, in order to satiate the masses? Because then now we're going to hit it with that opener that we have against Ole Miss in Orlando, or is DeAndre Francois going to be the guy really that takes the next step? What about Malik Henry? Like, that was where we were 10 years ago. We didn't know what was about to befall us with Jimbo and what that 2016 season was. But it was almost as though when softball was over in the last 10 years, when baseball's over, you're like, okay, that was a fun ride, but let's get to the getting and let's talk about the meat and potatoes. And right now, it's all you can do to not bring that up. It's all you can do to find something else to distract you because, well, the sport is in disarray, and we're reminded of that every day with Texas Tech or with Congress trying to come up with a magical antitrust exemption law that'll pass both the House and the Senate, or, our own team and the shortcomings of our own team. And the words of a guy like Pete Nakos ringing in your ears that Florida State is spending about the same as Virginia and Pitt and far less than Louisville and SMU and Miami and Clemson. That's the hard part.
Well, admittedly, and for people that listen to this show on a regular basis, but I would absolutely love to lead with football every day. It's what butters the bread, baby. If we had a reason to lead with Florida State football, any reason to lead with Florida State football, I always would. I don't care if it was June 17th, July 9th, February 21st. It doesn't matter. If I had a reason to lead with Florida State football, I always would. But, we're going into another big recruiting weekend in FSU football, and there's all kinds of official visits. And I'm sorry, it's hard for me to get excited. Our own Matt Lasser, you go over to warchant.com, read a preview of the weekend's visitors, does a great job of covering it. He's thorough. I do read it. But when I read a headline like, can Florida State beat out Tennessee for Tashawn Poole, the defensive defensive lineman, right? Or no, safety. I couldn't remember. Anyhow, safety. The problem is I answer it. I view it as non-rhetorical. I look at the question and I go, no, they're not going to beat out Tennessee for that player. Now, I could be wrong. I also read, can FSU make up ground on the offensive line? And when I read that headline, I go, God, dog it, man. Really? I mean, the Jacob Burns kid was supposed to come in here. He canceled the visit like so many other guys have canceled. Not only did he canceled it up and committed to NC State. Well, seems like every time I look up at guys that are supposed to be coming in, they either cancel and then commit to Rutgers or Wisconsin or NC State or some sad, slappy-ass program, and it just further depresses me. I know the Yarborough kid's coming in. Maybe, just maybe, we'll sign an offensive lineman. Hallelujah. He's a guard at that. We'll see.
That specific position is one that I feel actually low-key hopeful. Not on the trail right now, because the trail's cold. And now they have this little run with several 4-star players. That's fine. I think they're paying the suck tax for a smaller amount of players this year, and then we'll see what happens. We can reassess the middle of the year to see if you can start adding on and securing November visits. That's just from the outside. Matt Lasser might be like, no, that's completely wrong. They're trying to, whatever. But Herb Hand's work that he's doing, you might actually have 2 guys that are high school signees that could be in your starting lineup at some point this year between Otto and Sandman, or maybe Jonathan Daniels' name gets a little bit more involved in the tackle rotation. That is a sight for sore eyes. Like, okay, Herb, he did a pretty good job last year with a bunch of veterans who had a baseline of ability, but they didn't have a spring to work together. So, like, Herb is a source of some kind of positivity out of me. Tim Harris is as well. Actually, now that Gus is gone, I think he brought some good people here. Now that he's gone, I think the operation might be a little bit cleaner. Tim's done an exceptional job of recruiting here. We don't throw to a lot of receivers, and yet we signed a bunch of them. How the hell does that work?
Yeah.
And Herb has done a good job with the pieces that he's had, and there's actually a couple of high school dudes that he's sending up the ranks. Go figure. It's something Alex Atkins never did.
Problem is everything comes with a caveat, because I don't disagree with you. I think there are a couple of guys to be excited about on this coaching staff who are working their ass off despite having one arm tied behind their back. I do think that is a good sign that you have some aggressive recruiters and persuasive ones at that, more importantly, and especially trying to recruit to a place like this that's had back-to-back losing seasons and whose head coach is on the hot seat. So that by definition usually spells doom. And to some degree it has. That's why we're ranked in the 50s or wherever we are in recruiting. But you're right. They've gotten a lot of people on campus. Those specific coaches you just named are showing glimmers of hope for us. And yet I know that a lot of times you keep your hopes up only to have, to get kneecapped because a guy that's been committed to you for 6 months suddenly decides to decommit. That's a daily occurrence around these parts these days. A guy that, you would love to believe you have a chance to get, and you're going up against, say, Tennessee. Like in this case, you think, well, is our NIL money going to be anywhere near what Tennessee wants to pay him if they really want him? The answer is no, not right now. So what are the chances that you actually get him? Even if he commits, like, do you think long-term that's going to be a hold? Like that's what makes it so difficult. So I guess get back to my original point. We're not completely bereft of hope. It's just hard to really throw yourself into recruiting right now with the belief that any of these moments or glimmers are things that are going to last. It's hard to believe that. You can just monitor and hope like hell that some of them work out, but there's no conviction.
I think it's an educational process right now of when it goes bad. What does it look like when it goes bad? Just keep taking notes of little details here and there. They're obvious right now, but there were signs leading up to where we are today, specifically on the recruiting trail, that Mike didn't prioritize it on the level of his competitors, or as Michael Oliver would say, our peers. Our peers in the industry. Like, he was not up to that level.
No.
He might be trying to make it up like somebody needing bonus credit to pass a class at the end of semester right now. But what is also good is when it does flip, be it for him or somebody else, the recruiting coverage is very good. Lasser does a good job. So get used to this pipeline of information coming. It's quite good what we have going on over there. The coverage is head to toe. just wish there were better players coming in for them to be able to capitalize.
Yeah, and I think it's important because I don't want Matt Lasser, our cohort and friend, to think that I'm besmirching him in any way. I'm just talking about recruiting as a whole at Florida State. Lasser is doing his job very well. It's been a great addition to Warchant and Warchant.com. But I just, recruiting, I think I echo the sentiment of the fans. I think I echo the sentiment of the readers. They're like, well, nice. Maybe we'll get him. Probably not. That's kind of how every article reads to me. Like, left tackle is interested in Florida State. Also interested in Auburn. Okay. Probably not going to get him. That's how I read all these things, Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Going to comment on when you have to get together in mass and produce a video to justify your existence or your efforts. Typically, you can read into that a certain way. I'll talk about it next. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio. On this show, over the years, Jeff Cameron Show PR firm has made an appearance numerous times where we say, that could have been avoided. This thing here, you could have just owned it. This one over here, you could have just not said anything and let it pass. This event over here might require an outright lie. We have the placards at the Jeff Cameron Show PR firm. We sit down. Tom and I will consult. Is this a client we want to take? Is there anything we can do for him? Is this somebody that, hey, we may have a problem with personally, but he is paying us handsomely, so how would we handle this case? Is this beyond the pale? Is this somebody you can't be associated with? Or is this somebody that made a mistake and we're going to have to massage the situation? All these sorts of things, right? That's kind of how it works. I often wonder when I see the kinds of things I saw yesterday when Texas Tech president Lawrence Chovanec, I believe is how he says his name, Chovanec, head coach Joey McGuire, the AD Kirby Hokut, the associate athletic director Grant Stovall. So you have all of those people in a room with a host friendly to Texas Tech endeavors, obviously. And they come into a room and they've got a Texas Tech jersey behind them. They got the footballs lined up. And it's a 22-minute video with the thrust being, look, we understand. This may seem odd, what we're doing as it pertains to Brendan Sorsby. But we want you to rest assured we've done our due diligence, and this is a need and a want and absolutely the right thing for us to be doing. We are going to back Mr. Sorsby during this difficult time as he gets past his addiction and the gambling ban and the injunction that the judge ruled. We're going to continue to fight for him, and here's why we're doing it. And we're going to spend 22 minutes, one by one, president, head coach, AD, associate AD, and give you all the many reasons why this is the right thing to do. The reason I bring this up is that obviously Texas Tech has been littered with negative press and verbal assaults from all around the college football world and really the sporting world and really just the common sense world. And it would occur to me as head of the Jeff Cameron Show PR firm in the moment, Tom, if you and I were in a room and in this case, the university and the powers that be within the university approached us and said, what do you guys think? Should we do a 22-minute video in which all of us lay out before the masses the reasons why we're supporting Brendan Sorsby? That the first thing that would have come out of our mouths immediately in the PR firm is, no, that's not what we should do. Because almost by definition, if you have to do a 22-minute emergency video to explain yourself, you are telling everybody that you're well aware that you ought not be defending Brendan Sorsby or having him play for your football team. You know that when you're forced to have that 22-minute video or feel compelled to, that you're on the ropes, that you are defending something that's not worth defending, that can't be defended. At least in my eyes, that's the way it reads. The second you see it, you go, really? You clowns are all in a room sitting there telling the world on video why you're defending Brendan Sorsby? There's not a measure of this that's even self-evident enough that you ought not have to shoot this video. Come on. We would have said no to this, Tom.
I would have quit. I'm not representing you. If you're capable of this level of dumbassery, then look, I'd love to keep taking your money, but at some point ethics kick in for me. And I'm in PR, and I would still say, no, we're not doing this.
And I'm in PR is a great phrase.
I mean, could you imagine, especially you consider the video and you have the associate athletics director in there, like, wait, guys, I want to be a part of this. You've got to, I mean, I know that you think you got to let me in. I want to say my piece. You got to let me in this video. Like, what kind of cultish Texas A&M energy do we have here, thinking that what we're doing is not only right, but we have 5 dudes racing to cut each other off on a video so they can all have their say? Like, in what world are these mothers living in? It's crazy. It is crazy. And also, if you're going to do it, let's have a little bit better production value than like a dimly lit room and half the lights are on, the hallway lights on, but the room is not in there.
It's poorly done.
I mean, if you're going to do this, let's at least have some slides. Let's have some, give me some of these little touch-ups. Instead, it's like, hey, intern, did you bring your microphone today? Good. All right, set up your phone. We got some things we want to say real quick. Let's put it out on the YouTubes.
It's interesting to me too that the another part of what I call the thrust of this video is about, again, they try to justify it by supporting somebody who is a self-described gambling addict, and they're trying to help an addict who is seeking to get help. They don't want to feel like, they want you to believe they're not turning their back on a young man who's addicted and trying to get some help. And nobody says, well, is the only way this guy can get help from his gambling addiction to play football for Texas Tech? How does that help him? I don't quite understand. If we're really concerned about his addiction and the help that he needs, fine, don't turn your back on him. Make sure he's in a reputable rehab, whatever center that he's going to go through to try to get past his addictions. What the hell is playing starting quarterback for Texas Tech have to do with anything? Oh, so it's not about the addiction. It's that you paid $5 million for your starting quarterback and you want him to play. It's not about the addiction at all.
It's all so fake. And you already know that I have a hard time with this. We've been out at football practices, and I see the energy from people who they're looking to keep busy so that they can present as though they're, doing more than they actually are. And we see this at basketball games too, like in at any level. Like the courtside seats sometimes are about fanhood. Most of the time it has nothing to do. It's more about status and all this stuff. And you're watching this video, and I didn't get through more than 2 minutes of it. But it's like there's one guy talking and then 4 people who are in their head saying, now make sure you nod convincingly here, that you are in agreement on this statement. Make sure that you have your posture is good. And let's look at him like we really care. Like he's almost delivering a toast at our daughter's wedding. Let's nod, thoughtfully nod, look back at the camera and nod. It's just all so fake. And they are a special bunch. They had just entered into the conversation for 10 seconds as a real power in the sport, and they're completely undercutting all the momentum, all of it. It's insane.
I find it odd too that like the coach wouldn't be like, well, I don't know if I need this at the most important position on the field to boot, who touches the ball on every single play. Like, it's possible. You want to talk about being able to dictate terms, Tom.
It's possible that he doesn't want it at all, but he's also Joey Maguire, the guy with the golden roster. So he's going to do what he's told. He's not Joey Maguire, the dude who kicked ass at Ole Miss,
followed by transferred over, right?
He's the man who was gifted this situation, and he might privately say this is dumb. But then the athletic director says, "Hey, boy, you're getting on this video with me. Sit down there and nod, and you better talk like you believe in this.
No, you nod with conviction.
This is what we're doing. And Joey, we know you can't coach worth a damn if you had a roster that was half as valuable as this roster.
Well, we don't know. I think the funny thing about Joey is nobody really knows. People still walk around this earth going, who the hell is Joey McGuire? What is going on here? Yeah, like that guy is just as milquetoast as they get.
Seriously, and I'm in this business. This is what we do for a living. And there will be a time where I might be at a bar. So do you see what Joey McGuire said? I'm like, who the hell is Joey McGuire?
Right.
What are we talking? Are we talking soccer? Like Joey McGuire? Like, oh, the Texas Tech head coach. That's right. Yeah, that Joey McGuire.
It's funny because the point being made about, certain coaches that make a huge impact. We're talking about hiring coaches. Like Joey McGuire is the perfect test case. Like nobody had ever even heard of Joey McGuire. And then all of a sudden Texas Tech is playing well. And nobody's like, boy, that Joey McGuire is doing a good job. They're like, man, that Texas Tech billionaire is really providing Texas Tech with an opportunity to win. Nobody thinks it's because of Joey McGuire. They're not all like, Joey McGuire is kicking ass. Like Lane Kiffin gets credit when Ole Miss wins. Like other coaches get credit. Not Joey McGuire. They're like, well, come on now. We all know Joey McGuire ain't doing nothing out here. I mean, that's hilarious.
That's exactly right. If you want just a couple of minutes, let's say that you got a stressful work day going on right now, you're listening to the show, and you just need a laugh. All right, we go, and we're providing it to you right now. But then you get to the break. Do what they do in the film industry, which is a cool little thing you learn in media techniques, and it makes a lot of sense. But like they will watch the dailies without audio, and then with audio, but then without, because they want to see if the acting can come through without sound. Go ahead and watch 4 minutes of this video with no sound and take a look at whoever's not speaking, and you will see the most uncomfortable. I really mean this guy is preaching the gospel, but they're fidgeting, they're backing off. They know that they're lying. They can't control their bodies. These other 4 guys who are not speaking, they know this is a farce, but they know this is what they have to do. It is fantastic body language assessment going on here. You'll laugh your ass off.
Yeah, people who maybe don't know, there's a video. It's released by Texas Tech. It's those individuals that I talked about at the beginning of the video. He's not talking about our video. He's talking about the Texas Tech video. So go watch that. Go watch that and watch body language, because you're right. It's uncomfortable. It's funny. It is funny, though. I do chuckle. I'm like, oh, this is such a farce. Look at this. And these guys have to know it. I mean, come on. That guy hosting this, that's a tough assignment. I got to be honest with you. I thought about it from his standpoint, because I've had to host videos that I was not down with. I've had to host shows that I was not down with. I've had to do interviews that I was not down with. And I was frustrated by and was told I had to do it, especially early in my career, where I'm like, come on, man. I don't need to interview Todd Bridges. I actually had to interview Todd Bridges and Jared from Subway. And I was like, this is some nonsense. Well, it may be, but they're paying us this amount of money, and you're going to interview Todd Bridges. It's like, what am I going to ask Todd Bridges from Different Strokes? What am I going to ask? When you got shot in the head, did you think you were going to die? No, you're not about to ask him about that. We're supposed to be talking about Las Vegas. That's the only thing I want to ask Todd Bridges. He got shot in the head, and he's still with us. Well, but you can't ask him about that. That was when he hooked on drugs. Yeah, but we're not doing that. He's here to promote Las Vegas, Jeff. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Jeff, email. It's been years since I did that. You remember those days? Jeff, email was the way all my emails, or I at least requested they be started. And for years they were. I would get an email, and the subject would be Jeff, email. And I always cracked up about that. Thanks. It's like all those years ago when I would ask for the time, the traffic and weather together at the nines. I would say, of course, I didn't want to have to constantly give out the time to start every segment when I did mornings. And I rebelled against Lee Bowen for making me do that. So I just had the callers do it. They would call in and they would say, it's 6:37 on a Tuesday. I'd say, damn Skippy, old school. And then we would commence. It was great. So this one is Jeff email, and it's entitled Appreciation. And thank you, Caleb from Athens, Georgia. I did read your email, and I do want to read a portion of it here if you don't mind. If you do, sorry. Been a rough 12 years living in close proximity to all my friends that are fans of the train that is the UGA Bulldogs. He lives in Athens, if you didn't hear me say that before. You and Tom are effing awesome, man. I started listening 5 years ago. I listen daily to the pod starting at 7 a.m. every day. So you're listening to the pod right now, Caleb, and it's the first year hearing me mention your email. And I just want to say, doff of the cap to you, Caleb. Hang in there in Athens, Georgia. And thanks for listening to this here pod on a daily basis. We appreciate it. And there are a lot of Calebs of the world out there, and I don't get a chance to highlight their emails as often as I should. I get a chance, but I forget to do it. And I didn't want to forget to do that today. So thank you, Caleb. Appreciate you. But Tom, the reason I bring up this email is I thought a part of this was really, really funny. Tom is the only Mets fan that I even like. I'm a lifelong Braves fan. His comment on talking about his kid self shedding a tear, but not as a grown man because Dolan sucks, had me in tears. Just wanted to share my appreciation to you guys, which is great. He was talking about that yesterday, Tom was, that like the inner child is really happy for the Knicks right now because he grew up a Knicks fan, being from New York, of course, but he hates Dolan. He should hate Dolan because Dolan's a criminal piece of garbage. But nonetheless, it's great. And then Caleb pointed out, even though we suck ass lately, I still listen daily. Caleb, you're a man after my own heart. I, too, like to describe things often as sucking ass. Caleb is solid as it gets. Also, that's just a cruel, vicious descriptor. It leaves no ambiguity. You know exactly how somebody feels when they use that phrase. Always. This movie sucks ass. This game sucks ass. This player sucks ass. You suck ass. Nobody has to wonder exactly what you're trying to say.
It always makes me laugh because of the scene in City Slickers when there's Phil thinks it's Daniel Stern that he's going to have the poison from a snake bite sucked out of his ass. and it's the second one. John Lovitz and Billy Crystal. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. And it ended up being a cactus.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you don't understand how much this means, Mitch. You were going to suck that poison right out of my ass. It's great. Caleb, be very careful on the roadways in your fair town, man. After dark, stay off the roadways. You are going to get killed at some point, so be very careful, sir.
Yeah, you are in danger at all times, Caleb, living in Athens, Georgia, which, by the way, I love Athens, Georgia. It is one of my favorite college towns. I'd like to go to Athens again and meander about that fair city without the threat of being run over by a Georgia linebacker going 147 miles per hour at 3 o'clock on a Wednesday. It would be nice to be able to do that. But alas, the rules do not apply at Georgia, at least not the traffic laws. He says, Caleb, he's been a fan of FSU since he was 8 years old. Luckily got to watch and remember 2 of the 3 national titles. Caleb, you want to know how old I am, buddy? I was in attendance for all 3 national championship victories, just so you know. Even saw O.J. Simpson on the sideline of the Orange Bowl wearing his Bruno Mollies. Little did we know he'd go on to commit double murder. But he also says he'd like to see us at Hotel Indigo and would buy us a beer and even a shot for Don Julio, a shot of Don Julio for Ira. So we will look forward to seeing you at Hotel Indigo. We think, certainly, we hope that we're going to be there. Should be a good time. And, that part of it never sucks, by the way, even if we do, meaning the team. That part of it never sucks. It's always great. Those pre-games are fun. Seeing the people that make up this fan base that listen to that program, who want to come out and shake hands and have a couple beers and commiserate these days. We get together when we're winning and we celebrate together during those times, and we get together when we're losing and we commiserate together at those times. And either way, that's the beauty of the camaraderie of fandom and allegiance to school and all those things.
That's the highlight of football season for me. It's not the games. How could it be? But
could not be, Tom. Could not be.
These gatherings. It's because we had this discussion a few weeks back. These are folks on their vacation. This is their Mecca. This is their happy place. We all have our happy place, be it the beach, be it a golf course, wherever it is. And you see the wonder and the innocent joy in somebody's eyes, the relief. I'm home, or I'm at my favorite place in the world. And they're exiting the door to go outside at Indigo, and they're looking upon Doak on the deck.
That's a good view.
It's a great view, and you see the wonder. You see that what sports is all about. Yeah. What that passion is all about is encapsulated every time we do a remote there. And people, for the first time, walk out and they go, whoa. Like I love that because they are in a pure state of joy, which is why we do pregame shows and not postgame shows right now from Indigo, because you could still have that hope before toe meets leather in the stadium.
Yeah, it's a constant state of spring training. for bad teams. That's what it is. Yeah, like
Three games are.
We got a chance. We got a chance. It's like starting 1-0 in game 1 of 162. Oh, all right.
Call me crazy, but I think we've got a shot today. And you know what? For the Alabama day, y'all were right who felt that way when you woke up. You said, I think we have a shot today. You were correct.
What a day that was. That's the best day we've had on the football gridiron in 2 effing years.
Mm-hmm. Since the LSU game. I think you have the LSU game in Orlando and that game, and that's it, the last 3 years. Mm-hmm.
Man, the Keon Coleman touchdown against LSU. The stop-start piece.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, I was pumped. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Final hour, Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Headed to the weekend. Brooks Koepka, ladies and gentlemen, 6 under yesterday, a shot off the lead. Okay. Get out of there, Thigala. Let my man Brooks get that win that we've been waiting to see.
It's the putter. He was electric with the putter on the back 9, and it is some kind of hybrid looking thing. I don't know. It's the exact same model that you were talking about that Scotty was using. Looks different to me. It's got a very blade-like presentation to it. If you're on the wrong side of it, meaning he's coming to you, he's putting towards you, you'd think it's a blade putter. And then you see it's got a little bit of a hump on the back of it. So maybe he's found it. If he has, buddy, that ball striking looks U.S. Open ready. He is somebody that I think, short of coming up with an injury this weekend, needs to be in people's lineups next week for the U.S. Open at Shinnecock. He's won there. It's his format to play because it's Bomber's Paradise. But he looked extremely confident. Even the misses on the greens yesterday in the back 9 were, infinitesimal. They were well read and well struck.
Well, the good news is he is in my lineup this week, baby.
Oh, there you go.
I took him with my second overall pick, actually, which is pretty crazy. I took Fleetwood with my first pick, but came back around and Koepka was still there. And I said, I'm feeling it, Brooks. I'm feeling it. I think you're ready. I think you're close. I think you're starting to believe in the flat stick. I think all the other metrics are right where they need to be. And the other reason I bet him this week is the weather's supposed to be terrible. And lest we forget, that's a guy that foraged from the fire of being in Europe on that Also Ran tour and just having to dig it out of the mud in god-awful weather by himself, where he admits he was lonely and cold and thought about quitting, but then said F that and became Brooks Koepka. Started winning in Europe, and that's what led him onto the PGA Tour. And then now, obviously, all of those majors later, he's Brooks effing Koepka. But he had to do it in really inclement weather.
Just to let you know, I took a very advanced look at the weather for Shinnecock next week. 6 over might win this thing. So on Thursday, day 1, sustained winds. If this holds, sustained winds out of the south in the afternoon, wave in excess of 20 miles an hour, which means gusts will be up to 30. Oh, dear God. You're playing on that course with sustained winds at 20? That is problematic. And on Friday, it's to continue into the teens in terms of sustained sustained winds, which means gusts will be 25, 30 miles an hour.
Any rain whatsoever?
A little bit overnight Thursday into Friday. Outside of Sunday upcoming this week, nothing. It's going to be pretty dry. So they can do whatever the hell they want to this course. And you know this from being up there a couple of years ago. I know it from living there. The weather forecasts don't really deviate. Like that part of the country, what you see about 3 to 4 days out is what it's going to be. Give or take maybe an hour or two. That, if those gusts hold, holy cow, those scores could be astronomical unless the USGA steps in and says, we got to slow this course down a little bit or it's going to be unplayable. Yeah,
I've been wondering what it was going to look like. I can't believe we're already, it's nearly upon us. I mean, here we are about to be talking about the U.S. Open, and obviously the storylines will be bountiful, but one of which will be, can Scotty Scheffler capture the U.S. Open? The tee to green stuff is all fine, but he's really kind of not been able to figure out the putter. And then it's really weird because when he does, he really does. And then the next day it goes back to, I got no clue. Golf is so effing hard. It's just it's just so crazy. Last week it was for him it was the wins. He got furious with the wins. He just you don't understand how frustrating this is. You just don't. You got it, Teddy. I just don't think you understand. I'm hitting the ball perfectly. And by the way, that made me laugh because people made a big deal of that, and I'm like, I don't know. I agree with you. I don't think it was like certain players who get on their caddies at all.
No, it wasn't Jordan Spieth's clown ass getting after Michael and knowing that it's on Front Street. This is a guy legitimately in the heat of battle having a conversation with his caddy. And I don't even know that he's all the way frustrated at Ted. I think he's just speaking to the heavens as well that I can't catch a break. I think there was some energy for that. And they're like, you got to be kidding me. Now, even when I put it all the way together, I'm off by the smallest of margins. This is stupid. Like that's the energy I felt more than, hey, you suck at your job and you're costing me money. Like I didn't get that at all from Scotty, and that might change because he does complain a lot. But I think it's for the right reasons. It's not that he's infallible like Jordan. Jordan has never hit a shot that's been his fault in his life, and that's annoying. Scotty is not that way. Scotty just Scotty says, if I'm not going to win, I don't want to be here. This is the worst, and I appreciate that about him.
It's a weird time. Like I normally don't begin hours like this. It is like laid back libations Friday here, but it's a weird time in golf, and I'll tell you, like this Phil Mickelson story. That's we're going to learn more about it in the next 24 hours. For those that missed it, it's pretty troubling. He lost his club membership due to an allegation of non-consensual, inappropriate contact with an employee. Mickelson's advances were rejected by a female employee who reported the incident immediately to the club. He's been a member of the Farms Golf Club in Rancho Santa Fe, California. If you read what's his name's book, and I did, and I can't remember his name. What's that guy's name? The reporter?
Shipnuck.
Yeah. If you read Shipnuck's book, then you know the way that Phil is revered in California and the way that he's revered in the Farms Golf Club in Rancho Santa Fe. He plays there all the time. He is their most notable member, to say the least. For them to kick him out, I may be making a leap here, buddy, but I think we have either eyewitnesses to this event in which there's no, trying to manipulate your way out of it. Video footage somewhere. We're not seeing that just yet. And or it's not the first or second time that there have been accusations like this. Like you don't kick. Let's just not be children here. Famous people in all walks of life, whether it's politics, whether it's, music or acting, whether it's professional sports, talk show hosts, whatever it might be, are afforded certain leeways and grace and things that the average Joe of a club would not receive, right? It's if you're a famous musician and you book a place at a restaurant, they've got a table for you and they're going to let you in the back and they're going to treat you in a way that's different than if Tom and I go and try to get a table at the same place. It's just the way it is, right? Well, these guys, and you could be Marshall Faulk, you could be Phil Mickelson, you could be Tiger Woods, you could be Bruce Springsteen, whoever. If you're a member of a country club and you are of status, you are famous, they wear that as a badge of success and honor. They're very excited that you're a member of their club. And the patron, all the people that are members of that club love being able to tell people that aren't members of that club, oh, yeah, we're friends with John Travolta. He's been a member at our club for 22 years. See John all the time. He's lovely people. He's a pretty good golfer too. And they yuck it up and the whole thing. Oh, it's Phil effing Mickelson. 6-time major champion is a longtime member in California at this golf club, and they up and booted his ass. I don't think it's a leap to say there's something very wrong here. And I don't mean in defense of Phil, like, is his life just completely spiraling out of control? Because it would appear to be. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think there's every chance it is because he's had to withdraw from how many tournaments recently or not participate in them, majors specifically, because of a family health matter that he's citing. I don't believe Phil Mickelson as far as I can throw him. And so maybe it's a health matter. Maybe he's a recluse. Maybe he's got a problem. Like, that is a nice little PR shield. And I'm sorry that I have to be that cynical, but Phil Mickelson has given plenty of reason to be cynical about most anything he says. So something's going on in his life. It could be literally true that he's got a family member who's not doing well. And that's why he didn't play in the Masters, or he didn't play in the PGA Championship or the United States Open, or all that. But something's up, and he hasn't exactly had a banner last few years. The interesting thing is, and the way he'd spin it and tell you is, well, he was the sacrificial lamb, because the changes that he desperately wanted for the PGA Tour happened only through LIV existing.
That's not true, but okay.
That's the way he would frame it. But then
that is the way he'd frame it. Yes.
But then he is blackballed from the sport forevermore back on the PGA Tour, and so now he's an outcast. There's also the issue of the gambling debts and all that kind of stuff that was floating under the surface, unless you were really following the story and about who he owed and how much he owed, and maybe that's the move for LIV. The coffee stuff he was doing, like,
he's still doing the coffee stuff.
Well, he's pushing all these things. This guy who's he's chasing after it. So something's going on. And yes, I would agree with you that there's a preponderance of evidence of some kind, be it through past actions or, he pissed off the wrong member who is higher than him because he's a billionaire or something. And that guy says, Phil's gone or I'm gone. Something like that happened in order for him to be tossed. I wish you would look at two human beings as equals and say you can't mistreat anybody, and that's a zero tolerance policy. That's just not reality. That's not the way this works. So something's up.
Well, he's confronted in round. They went out onto the golf course to get him.
Yeah. Yep.
I can't fathom that happens without overwhelming evidence that what is being asserted here has merit. There's just no way. It's Phil effing Mickelson. I mean, can you imagine the first time something like this comes up and the club pro is told, hey, Phil's getting a little handsy with the cart girl. He's had a few pops and he's getting a little out of line. All right, I'll talk to him. That can't happen. I agree, Jack. That can't happen. But I'll talk to him. Well, you may need to be more than talk to. What you want me to kick Phil Mickelson out of the club? Stand down. I'll talk to him. We're not kicking Phil effing Mickelson out of our club. That didn't happen. They drove out and found him on whatever hole he was on. Phil, you got to go. We're done here, buddy. And you think Phil Mickelson was like, oh, sure. Yeah, I can't wait. Sure, I'll leave. You got me. Sorry about that. No. So the fact that he did and they revoked his membership on site, on spot?
Yeah,
come on, man.
What Texas Tech is doing in the Sorsby case, like last night they had the stupid video, the roundtable video.
Unbelievable what's happening with Texas Tech. Man, this just on and on.
Phil Mickelson employs similar PR tactics. He won't let things go. He won't let any little thing go. That's why he responds to people on Twitter. It's like Herb Street. You're such a small, weak personality that you can't understand that you already made it. You're beyond this. But Phil's like that. So if Phil thought there was a case to make in this specific setting, you don't think he would take immediately to social media, do a selfie video of him at the neighboring country club and say, folks, here are the 5 misconceptions that people have about this specific issue. And I'm going to walk you through it of how ridiculous our society has become, that you could put somebody like myself in danger. I'm worried about everybody. Like that's the video. He would record that and he'd be like
100% the video.
This is kind of like when OJ was driving around the golf course telling you who his 3 favorite running backs are. You're like, have a great day. You're like, what the hell is this weird stuff? He would do that if he thought he had recourse. This has not happened yet. So something is verifiable.
He was out searching for the real killers, Tom. Get it together. He was searching for the real killers on a golf club near you.
Those videos are unbelievable. Just like the golf cart pulls up like he's cutting a promo for folks, here's one of the things that I think you should consider.
I kind of want to see that video. He's crazy enough to do one. It should be coming any minute now. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. This is so Libations Friday. This is so good. Tom, do you ever, I believe you have access to, what's the account that gives you the advanced analytics for the college football?
Oh, well, there's a couple of them. There's Pro Football Focus, of course, but then there's Sports Info Solutions.
I thought it was Sports Info Solutions. Guess what I read this morning on Sports Info Solutions?
Mm.
An article on how often catchers get hit in the balls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a wonderful article. It's basically entitled, How Often Do Catchers Get Hit in the Balls? The headline is actually, How Often Are Catchers Getting Hit with Foul Balls in Bad Spots? God bless Sports Info Solutions. I was like, who decided that this is needed? We need greater research on this, guys. We need to do a better job of finding out how often this happens. The article is written by one Mark Simon, and it came out yesterday on my birthday, and that is so perfect. Quantifying how catchers are getting hit by foul balls in sensitive spots since the rise of the one knee down stance for catchers is specific the inquiry for Sports Info Solutions. How great is that? Earlier this week, Zach Mizell of The Athletic wrote an interesting article about catchers and they're getting hit in the groin by foul balls, more often in the era of the one knee down catcher stance than ever before. Zach noted that according to Major League Baseball's 23% of pitches were caught with one knee down in 2020. That rate increased to 50% the next year and has now risen to 95% last year and 96% this year. Now, that in and of itself is kind of interesting, Tom, that we in 2020 watched catchers with one knee down stances at just a 23% clip. And now 6 short years later, we're at 96%. There was a catcher evolution. Apparently, everybody that taught people how to catch said, we got to go with the one knee down, guys.
Yeah, and it is something that is complained about. I'll put it in nicer terms. In my broadcast, probably once a series, and the Mets broadcast, because inevitably somebody won't be able to get in front of a baseball on the backhand side and field it cleanly, and somebody gets to take a base or whatever.
I can hear Keith now.
I just don't understand. I get they teach it that way. They teach it that. This is what they're teaching them. But yeah. It's just the fundies guy. Gare, we got a problem here.
Zach said that he didn't have data regarding how often catchers were getting hit in the groin, though the catchers that he spoke to throughout Major League Baseball instinctively knew that they were on the rise. Instinctive. It's not instinctive. I got hit in the groin about 4 times 2 years ago. I've already been hit in the groin 8 times this year in the first 60 games. I think we're getting hit in the groin a little bit more frequently than ever before. Yeah, you would remember such a thing. Most people remember when that happens. I can count probably the 10 or 12 times in my lifetime that I've been hit squarely there. One of them was the heel of an offensive tackle. I was playing defensive end. I was trying to get my outside shoulder to ensure that William Floyd had to cut inside at practice. I did not want to have to tackle William head up. He was a load. And so when he cut back inside, which is what I wanted him to do, I knew I could try to tackle with my left shoulder while I grabbed his waist and tried the sling technique, Tom. That way I don't have to drive William Floyd backwards. I could instead use my weight to sling him around and get him to the ground. And as I pivoted to do so, the tackle, who was uncoordinated, stumbled, fell, ass over tea kettle, and somehow his heel flew around straight into the boys as I was clutching William Floyd's waist to try to sling him. It was such a direct hit. I felt the boys, quote unquote, kind of wrap around the cleat, wrap around, one on each side. It was a dividing.
Oh, boy.
It was something to behold. The moment that the rush of pain went into my throat was all seemingly in slow motion as I made that tackle and laid on the ground. And I was praised for making the tackle and for doing the play right. And yet I could not receive said praise. All I could do was fight for breath, furious at that uncoordinated tackle whose heel slung into my nether region. Damn it, man. Now, that was just one time. and that was in high school. I'm trying to think of all the others. I've got a couple. My favorite moment is me throwing the football, the Nerf football with Matt Millar in the hall in between breaks and a commercial break, and me slinging one down the hall and having it slip through his hands and hit a direct shot and watch him crumble. And I'm like, man, we got to get him back from break. Get up. And he told me to F off, and he was crumpled over, and we had dead air.
Well, for a good reason.
Yeah.
If you're going to have dead air, that's probably a good reason for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In computer lab in 7th grade, it was me and my buddy Richard. We were having fun. I was probably messing with him a little too much. I went over the line. It's okay. That's friends. This happens. You go
7th grade.
7th grade. We had like the little wrist pad for ergonomic typing because
I forgot about those. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're the thick ones like mouse pads, but they were like big ones. I mean, it's a heavy.
Oh, you're gonna tell me you slung one of those things?
No, he got me. He got me like an Indiana Jones whip right where it needed to go. That brought density and fire to it. And I remember the noise.
Oh, yes.
And go, oh, like a little sweet, like, oh,
yeah.
Right.
Ooh.
Drop to my knees. That's all I did. Like I just dropped to my knees and I knelt forward, and it took about 3 or 4 minutes to catch my breath. We've all had it in sports too. You're talking about a tackle. Cups sometimes do their job and sometimes don't. I've taken a hockey puck to the area, even with a protector, and that protector really. I suppose it could have been worse, but I don't know.
Well, in baseball, catchers wear cups. They have to. Nobody else in the field does, but not anymore. Mostly they don't. And in football, you don't wear them really at all because the instances of catching one in the cup is pretty rare. But catchers always have them. The problem is when the catchers wear one of those things, it serves to rattle them around. It just there we go.
As you can see on the screen from the Japanese league here.
Look at that. Oh, he's For
those that are driving around town or listening on the podcast, this is a two-seam kind of halfway pitching motion. They're riding back towards the hitter, Japanese league, and this thing gets
fouled off
at a 45-degree angle from about the letters where the batter's hitting downward.
The pitcher, his look on his face is my favorite part. Ooh.
And they cut to the pitcher who looks like the Yomiuri Giants here. And he is disgusted by what he sees.
Oh, he's like, look at my friend. Oh, my friend. He has been taken out of action. This is not good. I digress. Here we go. We do not have some data. We have some data on this, not a lot, but some. Sports Info Solution tracks injury events. These are moments in a game in which a player suffers some type of injury. This could be anything from a pitcher being hit by a line drive to a batter fouling a ball off his foot, or foul balls or misgauged pitches that directly hit the catcher's groin. It's noted alongside a severity rating based on how the player responds to the injury. So, for example, did the player leave the game? Did he just need a breather? Did he minimally react to a ball off his thigh? That information is within the data that they sell to teams in media at Sports Info Solutions. We have information on injury events regarding foul balls hitting off a catcher's pelvis, catcher's hips, and they are charting this now back to 2023. Continues to expand as they go back and look at the data. It's only a small increase from 23 to 24, but a much larger one, a 22% jump, in fact, from 2024 to 2025 as the percentage of catchers using the one knee down stance increased from 90 to 95%. Foul balls hit off a catcher's pelvis or hips, totals have come up considerably. In 2023, there were 283 injury events. 80% of those were for catchers who were down on one knee. 2024, we had just a slight increase of 291 injury events to the boys. Percentage of catchers were down on one knee there, 90%. And in 2025, we had 357 such incidents, 95% of which afflicted to catchers who were on one knee. The current pace right now through Monday's games of last week is in the same general area of the 357 from a year ago. Since 2023, the catcher who's had the most foul balls off his balls is Nick Fortes. Nick Fortes of the Rays has been hit in the boys 39 times.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
39 times Nick Fortes has worn it. They have worn it. He has worn it. Speed bag, Nick Fortes. He ranks 17th in innings caught in that span, so he's getting hit at an extremely high rate. Fortes also has 10 such injury events this year alone in the first half of the season.
Oh, my God.
That is twice as many as the players with the next most. So double the amount of times to his boys than anybody else in baseball.
I'm telling you, this also has to correlate. It's not always causation and so forth. I get it. The Rays must have 3 or 4 sinker ballers. They have to, and no pun intended here, just like straight up the stuff, because the likelihood of a foul tip to go down into the ground or down towards where you don't want it to go, you have to have the stuff that matches that. So I'm sure as spring training's going along and he's seeing these guys who are going to win the jobs, he goes, you got to be kidding me. We can't get a Chad Bradford in here with, with sidearm kind of nonsense that breaks away from the hitter. Does everything have to be north to south? Does everything have to have sink? What is everybody Brandon Webb? What are we doing here, guys?
Do you think that Nick Fortes is like a gladiator entering the arena? Do you think like before the game starts, Nick is separate from his teammates and he's staring in the mirror and he's doing meditation and breathing and he's focusing and he's got eye black on. He's about to go to war to try to protect his testicles. And he's thinking to himself, all right, once more into the breach. Like, do you think he is?
I think I would expect if there's an interview with Nick before the game, we go to Nick Fortes and Nick, your thoughts on what the assignment is tonight against this Rangers lineup?
Survive.
Well, I think that we're going to really have a big approach tonight, and here's hoping we keep
Nick
the ball
in the zone. Problems. I mean, Nick's got to be like, like I hate to use this analogy because it's always sad when you see something like this, but this is like an abused individual. This is like a beaten dog. I mean, this is like Nick's kind of cowering. Nick, get out there. John's got to warm up. Nope. I only catch in games.
Yep.
I'm only catching in the games, guys. I'm not susceptible to this nonsense when it's not a game.
They give him a portable freezer on the road so he could keep the bag of peas at all times because he's going to need them. I know that this is not a catcher, but if I tell you Sky Dome flagging a pop-up down relative to the conversation we're having, I'm sure there's an image that pops into your head.
Yeah.
Yep. And
it's one of the great moments ever.
Yes, it is. It's for the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, and it is. Oh, I don't even know how it's possible to get hit like that. And he instantly, look at the pain. Look at the pain on his face. It's instant. Well, that's because he's not. Well, by the way, he's not. Once again, he's a position player, so he is not wearing a cup. And that is, Tom, that's akin to the cleat that I was describing. That is 50-50. That's Steve Perry, late 70s, early 80s Journey jeans. That's what that is. That is right down the middle.
I think I'm watching how this goes down. Because he's on the turf, I think he miscalculates how much his leg is going to slide. And so that throws him off because his eyes close before the ball arrives. I think
he knows he's not getting there.
And also the slide is not occurring the way that he thought friction was going to work in this scenario.
Also, watching that replay in foul territory, I'm inclined to suggest that he never should have slid. Keep running forward and catch the ball.
I think.
What are you doing?
I think you could flash forward to him instructing the youth of his
now,
nation.
You may be tempted to slide feet first here, guys, but let me tell you,
Right.
that's not where it's at. We don't want to do that.
You call Eric Hosmer and ask him if I'm right. Eric will tell you. It's stay on your feet. Stay on your feet.
Stay on your feet. Dive forward if you have to, and do a roll. We'll do a fireman's carry. We'll do some sort of roll here, but there's no cause to ever do the feet first slide in foul territory that way. By the way, so to put a ribbon on this, and good job, Sports Info Solutions. You know who's number 2 in all of baseball since 2023 of catching foul balls off the boys?
I don't think he catches enough, but I know Luis Torrens for the Mets wears it a lot.
Well, it's Cal Raleigh.
Oh, big dumper, huh?
Cal Raleigh has been hit in the testicles 34 times.
Oh my God.
34. That's a tough one. Then they have the rest of that list, including Ryan Jeffers 28 times, who the Pirates are going after from the Twins, who should be selling just about everybody they have. Twins lost by double digits last night, and I think that leads all of baseball in double-digit losses. The Twins routinely get their ass beat. Like, this is anecdotal, but not the stat about losing double digits. I found that out. That's real. But I look at the scores every day because I know we're going to do probables, and I love baseball, and I'm always kind of paying attention to trends and so forth. And we have a friend, and you're closer to him than I am, but a wonderful guy. You guys share a name that is a Twins fan, and I just feel for him because every time I look at the scores, I'm like, seems the Twins took another ass beating last night, and this one's 11-0. And I was like, golly, like every night, just beatings, not non-competitive beatdowns. And anyhow, so I started thinking about the Pirates need a catcher, and Jeffers would be a good pickup, and the Twins should be selling everybody and firing everybody because they're just terrible, and they routinely get beat like 13-2, 11-0. 14-1, like just ass beatings.
I will tell you who the Twins are rooting for. Twins fans are rooting for the most this season. That would be the owners.
Yes. Yeah, they need a little help.
That little economic model thing that the owners are pitching would benefit a team like the Twins greatly, seeing as their television money is all gone. Yes.
Yeah. Great sympathy, by the way, as we end the segment for Cal Raleigh, second amongst modern catchers, wearing foul balls off the balls. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. We can entitle this Great Moments and Votes of Confidence. This is the stuff that we love. This is these are the hidden gems where GMs or owners or managers say certain things, and you listen to it, you read the quote as I read it this morning, and you're like, wait a minute, I got to reread that. That sounds an awful lot like he just got fired. In the midst of being told that nothing's going to happen, you're like, no, you just told me everything I need to know. And we have one. And it's been a minute. I don't remember who was the last coach that got the dreaded vote of confidence. Golly. Well, sadly, unfortunately, Mike Norvell got one, and it turned out to be true. Normally, you get the vote of confidence from the athletic director or somebody like that when they're asking about the status of your head coach. And if they mealy mouth their way through we support coach in every way, you're like, well, that's the end of that. But unfortunately for us, it turned out to be true. Well, kind of true. I don't know how much they support him, but he is still here. This one's a classic because you have to do a callback. You have to go back and read further down in the column. So I'm reading. I don't know how many people have paid attention to this, but the Red Sox suck. And the Red Sox were supposed to be good. And the Red Sox are not good. And one of the great things about the Red Sox is that their fan base is passionate. And they pay attention. Tom, you've been to Boston. You've walked around that city. You certainly know how wonderfully set Fenway Park is and the surrounding area. I mean, you can respect the game there. They go way back, a long ways. And so when I read this, I thought it was hilarious. I was doing a overview as we approach closer and closer now to the All-Star break. And there was an article about what every team needs. And then there were links, there's tentacles to that sort of thing. So then there are links to this article and that article. And I found myself clicking on it. My wife's a Red Sox fan. So here you go. They've already, you guys know, fired their manager. They did that early this year. And then there has been a discussion about their chief baseball officer, Craig Breslow, who's made some really curious trades the last couple of years. And yesterday, Red Sox president Sam Kennedy was asked about that. And he started by, he responded to a question about Breslow specifically, Tom. This was the beginning of his response. The team has been embarrassing, unacceptable, maddening, and frustrating. There's just no way to sugarcoat this. We've been awful. Now, I have to tell you, if I'm Chris Breslow and I hear Craig Breslow, excuse me, Craig, if I hear the question and it's about me in my role as chief baseball officer, and that question is addressing the president of the Red Sox, and the first thing he says in response to a question about me is that the team has been embarrassing, unacceptable, maddening, frustrating, and there's no way to sugarcoat it. We've been awful. I'm pretty much looking to sell my house, right? I mean, that's pretty brutal. He goes on to say, specifically, I fully understand the questions about Craig and his job security and all of that. But the issue of change here, well, just to be clear, it's not on the table. He is working as hard as he ever has to try to get things back on track. Now, let's grade the first part of that answer and marry it with all of the things, the descriptors, the frustrating, unacceptable, awful, maddening, all the embarrassing, all the things. That doesn't sound like a strong vote of confidence to me. Does it to you?
No, it sounds like I'm getting screwed over by this a-hole is what it sounds like to me.
Okay, good. Because I was like, huh. So then they asked him to follow up specifically about, what the timeline would be to judge Craig and several other employees that the reporters were peppering the president of the Red Sox about. He says, well, let's be honest. Unless things change dramatically, we may have to pivot from what our initial plan was. It wouldn't be responsible to do otherwise. We're here in mid-June and you're asking me, and we have to see what happens, though, and then we'll reassess. I mean, I wouldn't buy groceries in bulk, my man. I think we're done here. That is awesome. What a vote of confidence. One sentence after the vote of confidence, he's talking about a 2 or 3 week window in which they may have to reassess.
Well, I think what he's literally speaking to is the trade deadline plans. They thought they were going to be buyers and adding pieces. And now what he's telling you is, yeah, our players are on the market, folks. You want to wheel and deal? Don't call Craig. Call me. Call me direct.
Don't call Craig. Craig ain't going to be here much longer.
Well, Craig's working as hard as he possibly can to put out as much of the fire as and God love him. He's an earnest man. He's an earnest gentleman. I'll never question his ethic. I just question the efficacy of what he does. Craig is Craig, everybody. But give me a call. If you need anything from the Red Sox, you give me a call. Understand here, Craig is busy. Craig is working on other stuff, okay? But I'm the guy. Give me a call about 2 weeks when we continue to lose and our team continues to fail, give me a call, okay? We got some deals to make.
I just stumbled into that. The Red Sox, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, are in dead ass last in the American League East. They're 27-39. They're awful. They stink in every way. They're 13 and a half games back of the Rays. So that was not what was envisioned when they were projected to win between 85 and 91 games. And people are going to lose their jobs. And I think specifically Craig is going to lose his job based on that answer yesterday from Sam. Sam on Craig is telling you that Craig is done dealing, like Tom pointed out, at the trade deadline. That will be the end of Craig.
I think that will be effectively the end of Craig, but it sounds like this president of baseball ops is exactly the type of person who says, oh, no, you're going to finish out the year. Now, you're not going to have any power whatsoever, but I better see that car in the parking lot, and I better see the light in your office on first thing in the morning, and you better not leave early, not 15 minutes early, Craig, or we're firing your ass for cause. You sit in that office and you feel the shame of all that's going on around us. You are not getting off lightly, pal. You're here for the rest of the year. 162 for you, Craig.
Baseball, working in baseball, I never worked in baseball, but as I allude to all the time, my dear friend and former roommate Matt Britton did work in baseball for nearly 15 years. And one of the things that I was able to learn from talking to him and others that work in baseball over the years, you better love you some baseball, and you better love all the aspects of baseball, because baseball employees, well taken care of, well paid, handsomely rewarded, by the way, with a pension, even if you're a front office employee. Like if you're in promotions, if you work for more than a decade, you've got money coming back from MLB the rest of your life. Literally. Now, it's different for everybody. It's not the same as a player's pension, but you get money. Like you might make an extra $30K a year for the rest of your life from baseball if you're able to last in baseball for a decade plus. It's a really rewarding gig in that way. In the other way, it's not. They play practically every day. The season is forever, 162 games. Your weekends, if you are an employee in marketing or promotions, as I just said, if you're the GM, if you're the president, if you're going to be at the ballpark is where you're going to be on the weekend. Like you don't get this, oh, it's Friday, I'm going to go meet Phil at the bar and have a couple of pops, go home, chill, grill, and enjoy my family. No, you won't be doing that. You got to work on Friday at 8 a.m., but don't forget, first pitch is tonight at 7 here at the ballpark, where we'll see you. And you'll get home tonight at 11, if you're lucky. And we'll see you tomorrow morning as we get set and prep for the Saturday game. And, and then the Sunday game, Bob. And then, on Monday's a normal work day, so we'll see you Monday. No game. Don't worry about the game, but you'll be here bright and early, 8 a.m. to 5. Hope you love baseball, Bob. Hope you love baseball, because it's all you're going to do for a very long time during the season. And so I bring that up because if you stink, baseball can be cruel. Those are long days. You don't even get the added benefit of the victorious series. Hey, we're 4 games out. We're in a chase. Hey, we might be making moves here soon. We've got a chance to make the wild card. Like if you're not that, you're playing out the string. Well, the problem with playing out the string is you've only played, like the Red Sox have been playing out the string for some time now. They haven't even played 81 games. You got more than half the season still to go, and you're playing out the string. That will hurt your feelings. If you would, let's cue it up, Tom, and get to some probables, my man. We've got games, speaking of which.
All right. Well, they've got 96 games to go, do the Red Sox. I looked that up.
96 games to go, and they're playing out the string, and Craig better be there for all 96.
It's time for, with the pitching, probables?
Speaking of my buddy, Marlins Pirates. Let's go Buccos. Sandy Alcantara on the hill for the Marlins. No, sir. Braxton Ashcraft is better than Sandy Alcantara, and he's going to beat him tonight, I hope. That's who goes for the Buccos. Mariners Nationals, Bryce Miller, Zach Littell. Padres Orioles, Griffin Canning, who cheats at golf. Shane Baz goes for the Orioles. Tigers Guardians, Jack Flaherty, Tanner Bibby. Rangers Red Sox, Jack Leiter, Sonny Gray. Braves Mets, Spencer Strider, Nolan McClain. D-backs Reds, Eduardo Rodriguez, Nick Lodolo. Yankees Blue Jays, Ryan Weathers, TBD. Phillies Brewers, Andrew Painter. And my God, what Jacob Mizorowski is doing these days. Do yourself a favor, baseball fans. If you haven't watched Jacob Mizorowski pitch for the Brewers, and it pains me to say it, but go watch him. He routinely throws the ball 102, 103 miles per hour. He's 7-2 with a 1.50. Already has 116 strikeouts. He's currently better than my favorite pitcher. It's unfortunate, but he is. Dodgers, White Sox, Roki Sasaki, Anthony K. That's a good story. That White Sox team, that's a good story. Can they beat the big bad Dodgers? It's tough. Dodgers are 44-25, folks. Cardinals, Twins, Kyle Leahy, Joe Ryan, Astros, Royals, Tatsuya Imai. Nope, I'm not Japanese. Luinder Avila. Rays, Angels, Shane McClanahan. Sam Eldegry goes for the Angels. Nobody's ever heard of him. Rockies, A's, TBD, Gage Jump. Pretty cool name. Cubs, Giants, Javier Assad, and Landon Raup. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. How about that? So what you'll get in hour 3 is what you just got in hour 2. So if you missed this hour, you're in luck. We're going to run it again next. We're getting out of here on a Libations Friday because that's what happens the day after my birthday. Until Monday, when we come back to celebrate all of the signees, or signees, as it's known, for Florida State baseball. That'll be good. Be good. Peace.